You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey all, welcome back to Cards to the Moon. This is episode 213, and my name is Clark from 5cardguys.com and 5cardguys on Instagram. Co-hosting with me, as usual, is Hyung of Integrity Sports Cards. And John, he's sitting out this one, but he should be back with us next episode. Okay, we do have a returning guest and good friend of the pod on the show today. His name is Darrell Chan, aka DC to many of us. And we ran into him recently at the Sport Card Expo in Toronto, where he set up a booth. And as usual, he made some pretty big deals. So I asked him if he wanted to come back on the pod and talk about that, as well as other relevant hobby topics, including his plan for the National this summer, which he's going to. I also picked his brain as a vendor, how he decides what cards to buy and trade for, which I thought was pretty interesting insight. So stay tuned for that. And we'll play that interview in just a minute. But first, off the top, I want to ask you, Hyung, whether you're panicking or holding on a few players in the MLB now that there's more than a month in the books. And I want to start with these two guys because we talked a fair amount about them when it comes to the hobby. And I think it's only fair to revisit what they've done so far. And then, ask what you're doing with their baseball cards, if you have them. All right, so first, we got to start with Jackson Holliday. All right, so it was pretty ugly when he got called up to the bigs. Struck out 18 times in 36 plate appearances, hitting just .059 with a OBP, on base percentage, of .111. I don't think I got to explain that. That's not very good. So, Jackson Holliday, what are you doing here?
Well, we talked about this earlier on episodes that he was way overpriced to begin with all the hype. So it still doesn't change, and I still believe in Jackson Holliday in terms of like what he's capable of doing. Obviously, and this just proves that baseball isn't all physical. You got a kid that's always known to hit. And then all of a sudden you get to the big leagues as a 19 or 20-year-old. It's gonna be different from a mental side of things. A lot more players are mature, so it's the first time that he's witnessing this kind of failure in baseball, which is totally normal, especially for a 19, 20-year-old. I just think his prices were way too high to begin with. So, and I still think they're really high. So I'm still a sell at this point. Get out while you can, but that doesn't mean that there's not future potential in Holiday. I think there's going to be kind of like a downwards spiral until he proves himself at the big league level, and then you'll probably see a recorrection there.
Yeah, no, it's a good point that you make, because I thought you would say buy, because we expected this and the prices are dipping. But the point is that I'm with you. The prices haven't dipped far enough, right? Because they were so high to begin with. So I would sell as well too. You've lost some of the profit, obviously, but I think there's still room to go down. But I still also believe in his talent. I was just reading up on an article where someone else who had a hard time adjusting when he was first called up to the big leagues was some guy named Matt Holliday, his dad. Right. And he ends up being a, multi all-star, 300 career batting average kind of player, So yeah.
You got to remember too, Trout had a, rough first 19-year-old season. Obviously that's right. You get exposed, right? And I think especially with baseball nowadays, they have that PPI incentive, prospect incentive program that I think Jackson Holliday still qualifies. So I know Corbin Carroll and Gunnar Henderson last year earned the team a draft pick in 2024. So there's a lot of incentive, I think, with bringing someone like Jackson Holliday up. I think he's the only one who qualifies between the two. But like there's a lot of incentive for big league clubs. So you're going to expect these types of failures because it's not normal for, a Gunnar Henderson or a Corbin Carroll to do what they're supposed to do at 20 years old, right? So
sure. Yeah, we'll see how, if he gets called up anytime soon. I don't think so. I think since he was back in the minors, he's been batting about 242. So he's definitely cooled off. He's, probably working on his mechanics. Yeah. But still believe in the talent. So just be patient with Jackson Holliday. All right, we have to talk about the other Jackson Chourio. First 5 games, amazing. We're like, wow, this guy's the real deal. And of course, realistically, you got some major league pitchers exposing him, and that's totally normal as well. Those pitchers are in the big leagues for a reason as well, right? So since that first 5 games where he's been hot, he's been hitting .193 overall since April 16th. So for almost a month, under 200. What are you doing with Jackson Chourio? Obviously, he's going to stay up in the big leagues with this huge contract.
Yeah, I think with Jackson Chourio, I think I'm monitoring his prices. Obviously, I still believe in his talent, just like Jackson Holliday. I like Jackson Chourio's pricing a little better than Jackson Holliday's, as well as, I think he could make an impact at the big league level, especially on that, exciting Milwaukee playoff potential club. So I think obviously his prices have dipped because he's been in a huge slump since those first 5 games. But again, in the long term, it is, they are young. These guys are 20 years old. We expect them to, pan out. Volpe had a tough year last year as well. And It just shows you, and Corbin Carroll is having a tough year this year, right? So, and in general, I would say, if you look at all the averages in general, it's definitely been dominated by, pitching more so than a hitter's league, with the exception of, Ohtani and Mookie Betts and, the superstar players that we normally see. But I think in general, the averages are down. And, I'm not surprised, I would say, but I think Chourio's a little different because his prices were a little cheaper. I think his Bowman Chrome models are starting to really come down, which, I think there is a buying period, but it all depends on, if you believe in Jackson or not. So
definitely more affordable than Jackson Holliday. Just checking the numbers as a baseline, his Bowman Chrome First Auto base PSA 10, it peaked at 1,200 in February, right before season was starting, where the hype was building, and last sold for under 500. So that's where it's at right now. So good for Jackson Chourio. I think there is a buying opportunity if you believe in him mid to long term. All right. I got a couple more. One more really, but then I want to add one more at the end very quickly. Bichette. This one hurts personally because I'm like, I got a blue refractor. I think Bichette's going to be, his normal self, always hitting, lead the leagues in hits again. Just off to an atrociously slow start for whatever reason. I don't know if it's in his head. He's batting 195, which is unheard of for Bichette to start the season. So what's your take on our boy Bichette? So
obviously Bo is not the hitter he's showing. His previous 5 seasons or whatever it was, 4 seasons, he's a 300 hitter. He's shown consistency, and obviously, and this is how difficult baseball is. People don't understand. It's like you got the best players in the world, struggling, at times, and it's such a streaky game, and it's so hard to be consistent year in, year out. But it could be something simple as his visuals are a little off, or maybe he's not getting into a proper coil that he used to, or his approach might be a little different, or we don't know. There's so many variables that happen, but obviously this is uncharacteristic of Bo. But his prices were always atrocious, he never ever got love. So I don't expect it to get too cheaper. I think it's been so cheap. I think one of our guys bought a gold auto. Was that Will?
That was Will.
Will, yeah. So he's seeing the buying opportunity, but I think if he keeps this up, it's going to keep on dipping a bit. And like I said, he he's very, very similar to his early days of Mookie Betts. I think they're very similar players in a way, but it's going to take time for Bo's prices to catch up remotely close to what we expect Bowman Chrome's to be. That's just my take until he starts winning batting titles like Mookie. Look at now, Mookie's starting to get the love after how many seasons, right? And even then, I still think Mookie's a buy.
Yeah, no, that's
you know what I mean.
Really,
so
yeah, that's a really great point. Yeah, I mean, it's easier for me to hold because I'm rooting for the Jays, and I'm not gonna be quick to sell. But yeah, just can't help but be a little bit disappointed still. Yeah. And I'll take responsibility for some of it. This usually happens when I buy a card, and then the player starts to not play to his potential. But last one I wanted to quickly end with. John and I kind of talked about in our last episode when the one you couldn't make, but Mike Trout, are you done with investing in Mike Trout cards? I mean, not as a player, but it is frustrating, and I'm sure you can understand the frustration of many people just hoping that this year would be the year where he stays healthy, puts up the numbers, and it's the same story though, right? When he plays, he's one of the best. Right. But can he play healthy? So what are you doing with Mike Trout if you have him?
Well, here's the thing. I think all great players go through adversity. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a big challenge in his life. He went from becoming, one of the best players that existed in his era from 2011 on. And in the last 5-6 seasons, he hasn't been able to put together a full season. Mm-hmm. But every time he's played, he's performed. Right? So it's just a matter of staying healthy. I do get concerned about the deteriorating numbers because of his, he's not playing. He's just not playing. So his numbers aren't as good as they used to be in kind of like every offensive category. But that's how crazy his first, 10 seasons or 9 seasons were. He's done so much within that span that, his prices were bonkers at one point, right? So I think I wouldn't say I would give up on Trout for sure. Like, I think there definitely is a price point where he is a future Hall of Famer. Even if he finished his career right now, I think he's in the Hall of Fame. So there is, I think, a buying opportunity depending on what price you see it as. But, it's definitely not what you want to see with Trout. You wanted him to hit 40 bombs, play 150 plus games, and prove that, he's back. It's a fresh start for his 30s. But he is 32 years old. So I don't think he has probably a good 5 years left in his career. So, it doesn't help. But I'm just seeing it in the best case scenario because Trout deserves the respect. And he's been showing up, every time. And for me personally, if there's a price that's very reasonable for a nice Trout, even like a 2011 Topps update that's like a cognac or a diamond, or any type of parallel gold even at the right price, I think I wouldn't mind purchasing it at the right price, to be honest.
Yep. We're on the same page. I think I mentioned in the last episode that I'm doubling down if there's an opportunity to do it. But I don't feel great about it. I guess I'm stubborn in that sense. And yeah, you're right. If his career ended, he's still a Hall of Famer, in my opinion, as well. But there's definitely a cap to the value of his cards if his career ended. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So do I believe that his career is going to end within the next 1 or 2 years? I don't personally, which is why I'm more leaning towards doubling down if the price is right for a nice higher end Mike Trout. But yeah, it does test your patience, that's for sure, in terms of him putting together that one good season, and putting up those numbers like we know he's capable of doing. All right, well, that's the 4 players I want you to talk about, and I guess for a lot of these names, it's all about being patient. Different timelines, of course, but generally still believe in the talent of all these guys. So yeah. That's our advice to anyone that holds any of these players for now. with that, let's play our interview that we had with Darrell, aka DC Chan.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
All right, we got another friend of the pod back on the show. If you're a longtime listener, you know who he is. His name is Darrell Chan, aka DC, and he's back to talk about recent card shows he's been to, including the Sport Card Expo here in Toronto, where he was a dealer. When I met up with him, he showed me one of his huge pickups in a monster trade, so I'll ask him about that. He's also going to the National, looking for things to buy, so I'll ask him about that as well. So without further ado, DC, welcome back to the pod.
Hey, thanks for having me. I love being on the show.
I love it that you love it. So, all right. So I was only able to come that one day when I saw you on Friday for the Sport Card Expo, which is the biggest card show in Canada. And like I just teased in your intro, you made a huge trade. So why don't you start there in our conversation? What was the card you received and how did the deal go down?
Sure. So as I was setting up for the preview night, I guess that was the Thursday, that's like VIP and stuff like that.
Yep.
I hadn't even finished setting up. I just set up the two high-end showcases.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy comes by and he's like, hey, I'm interested in some cards. And I said, okay, sure. And he starts pointing out at stuff. And it's like pointing at the Jordan rookie, LeBron rookie, those Jordan PMGs I had.
Wow.
Just some other big cards, like pretty big cards. And I said, okay, yeah, okay, sure. And then he goes, are you interested in a trade? And now I'm thinking, what are you possibly going to trade me? Like, I don't know this guy from anyone.
Right. It's your first time meeting this guy.
It's my first time meeting this guy. And honestly, I'm just stressed out with having to set up the cases before the show starts because people are coming in at like 3:30 or 4 o'clock.
Yeah. And
right now it's about 2 or 2:30.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just chatting. And then he pulls out this envelope. It's like a USPS envelope. And it doesn't look anything special.
Mm-hmm.
And he pulls out 4 cards. And the 4 cards are 2 1952 Topps mantles.
Wow.
One is an altered one, which looked really nice. And then he had one was, I think it was an SGC 2 or an SGC 3.
Okay.
Then a 1933 Goudey Babe Ruth red.
Yep.
And like I don't know what the other one's called, but it's also from 1933, but it's the long card one.
Right. Yeah.
So obviously my jaw just kind of dropped because this is not really my realm, right?
Yeah, vintage.
But I see that card. Obviously, I want the card. So I actually questioned myself first because I didn't know what the stuff was worth, right? I mean, I know it's up there, but whether or not we can get there. And then he told me the prices, and then I kind of said, well, if we're gonna do this, and I have to get rid of like I don't know, like a whole showcase and stuff. How is this going to work? Because I kind of need cash, and I also need to be able to buy the things. If I tie up everything into this one card, I don't want to be stuck at the show not being able to buy stuff. Because a lot of the reason why I do the show is so I can buy new inventory, flip it during that weekend, trade, buy, sell, trade stuff all together. Like all in all, just making deals. Yeah. So he said, "Oh, don't worry, we'll figure it out because there's a lot of stuff I want here. Plus, I'm going to buy stuff. I already did just a roundabout calculation. You can get one of these cards, just not the really, really nice mantle. I think it was out of my range. Like it was something like 35,000 US or something like that. Yeah. So I wasn't quite there. But then when he told me the other prices, I just went with the Ruth. The Ruth looked really, really nice. It was a PSA 3.
Yeah.
It was in the range. And then this way I would still have cash left over, right? I mean, worst case scenario, I don't really care if I sold that card or not. It's really more for show.
Yeah.
But if someone paid the price there or somewhere close to that, I would sell it.
Right.
Like
right.
I don't have a problem selling almost anything as
Mhm.
long as the number's right. So we made this deal for the Ruth, and then he bought like another $5K worth of stuff.
Oh
So
yeah. Wow.
he literally took a showcase and some right away, and then he came back and he bought like another 8K
Oh man.
like throughout the day. He was only there for one day.
Oh
So
right. Yeah. You
and he goes,
mentioned
I
that.
have some other friends that are here from the US. I'll send them over because you have some stuff that they probably want. So a lot of baseball prospects and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, these guys came later and, spent a little bit here and there. It was great. So
Yeah.
I would say the first day was really big with US guys. That's
Mm,
why a lot of people at the show had US cash.
okay.
And a lot of other baseball vendors.
Yeah.
We were all just talking about these guys and we're just walking around buying. I think it was a lot of repackers, I'll be honest.
Interesting.
Or based on the stuff they were buying, but all liquid slabs.
Yeah.
But for me, I was just really happy just to get that Ruth because that's a once in a lifetime kind of card that, number one, you very rarely see in the Canadian shows.
True.
In the US, you might see it, but it's rare. But
Yeah.
to see it in the Canadian show is like nuts. When everybody came by the booth and when I displayed it, it was a totally different reaction. Like, whoa. And then when they start looking around in that case, they look at they see the 53 tops mantle that I have.
Yeah.
And then like the Otani stuff and then like the other big cards in there. And then it just spawns a conversation, which is my whole goal, is to start the conversation so that I might be able to buy, sell, or trade something else.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah. So what did you end up actually giving to the guy? Like, what was the trade? Like I know you had a bunch of cards. Yeah.
Well, let me just refer to my photo here. It was a lot.
Yeah. I remember seeing a lot of cards and cash on top.
Yeah. So Mahomes Optic PSA 10, Josh Allen Red, White, and Blue Prism PSA 10, Volpe Auto Bowman First PSA 10, Vlad Base PSA 10, Jason Dominguez Refractor Auto PSA 10, Tiger Woods 2001,
Wow.
Upper Deck PSA 10, Albert Pujols Topps Now Auto, Ellie De La Cruz PSA 9 Refractor Auto Bowman First, 2 Jambalaya LeBron Upper Deck Employee PSA 9s.
Yeah. That's amazing.
I'm not even past the second row yet.
Okay.
J-Rod, Edgar Martinez Dual Auto from Topps Industry.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant Apprentice with Coding. Kobe Bryant Rookie Skybox. Juan Soto Hands on Hips. Juan Soto Topps Gold Rookie. LeBron PMGs from Upper Deck Employee. Ichiro Pujols Topps Traded. Chrome. Another Vlad Topps Chrome Auto. An Alvarez Bowman First Auto. 2 Jordan PMGs. A Luka Doncic Crown Royal Rookie. A Luka Doncic Prism Base. James Wood Bowman First. Brady PSA 9.
Yeah.
Bowman. The big cards would be the LeBron Topps Chrome BGS 9.5. The Jordan 86 Fleer BGS 8 and Mickey Mantle Kaboom BGS 9.
Wow. Okay.
So those were the cards that went in the trade for that Ruth and cash.
How long did it take you? Like, I mean, that was a long list of cards, but to make that kind of deal, how long does that take normally?
So I remember I was telling you came at like 2:00.
Yeah.
It was maybe 3:30 when we were done. So I was actually really stressed out because now,
wow,
I have other people coming by.
Yeah.
He's doing like a deal at the table to get some cash because I told him it's got to be cash, a bunch of it. I don't want to take PayPal if I don't have to. And then, I'm thinking, well, if I take all these cards out, like I'm literally stacking them on the showcase. Now that showcase is empty. What am I going to put in it?
Right.
And I'm trying to set up before the show starts. So it took about an hour and a half there.
Okay.
But it was totally worth it.
Yeah.
Because we
So
gotta sit there
what?
and comp out the cards, right? We have to like
Right.
agree on what the comps are. Just because I have it stickered at a certain number doesn't mean the comp is there
True.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, understood. And so like obviously that cleared out a lot of your case. Like, so what did you go shopping after that?
yeah, I mean, I'm always shopping. That show is all shopping for me.
Okay.
People will come to the
Nice.
booth and they want to either sell me stuff or they want to upgrade or they want to downgrade, and
Yeah.
then somehow we'll work out a deal. Like I did a huge deal on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I traded a bunch of hockey. I traded that Austin Matthews signature materials, the one I've had for a couple years that I acquired at the show,
Yeah.
that I graded and became a BGS 9.5.
Mm-hmm.
I traded my Sidney Crosby Young Guns, True
Okay.
Gem 9.5,
Yeah.
and a Young Guns Bedard, which I acquired at the show, maybe like half hour before that deal,
Mm-hmm.
and Wayne Gretzky Tops 7.5. I traded
Wow.
those for a Shohei Ohtani collection. Plus, so a bunch of numbered Ohtani rookies. I got this crazy patch auto, 86 star Jordan, and Curry Tops Chrome auto.
Wow. Okay. That's a good haul, man.
Yeah. And then all those things just kept rotating. So someone would see, oh, you're pricing this now? I go, yeah. So what do you want for it? I had the price there already. The guy left the price on it,
Mm-hmm.
traded that right away. Like literally, I had a card for like 10 minutes. Gone.
You're busy. So, I mean, this segues to my next question. Like, as a vendor, I just want to ask you about your thought process on how you decide what cards to trade for or buy, right? Because I'm sure you get a lot of, I saw a lot of people come up to your booth saying, hey, do you buy or trade, right? So do you have a mental list of what cards you like and that's what you target? Or is it really just about the value? Like, if it seems to be a good price, you would just obtain that card knowing that you could maybe flip it later.
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of things. The first thing is, what's the hot player at the time?
Okay.
And whether or not within the show, can I get rid of it? Like, can it be a quick flip?
Right.
So, for instance, anything Wemby that people brought and the deal was good, I would take it because I would just put it back in the showcase and it's gone.
Right.
Thing with Maple Leafs is very difficult. I was at the game yesterday too.
Oh,
so
that's a good
it's
one.
Good game. But let me tell you, every year we do the expo, we worry because the Leafs don't always make it out of the first round. So it makes it difficult to like, trade or sell, like Austin Matthews, for instance. Marner's not playing really well. If you have Nylander stuff, maybe it sells well. So we were lucky they're still in the first round. So if I took a Matthews, I had to get a really, really good deal on it where I could flip it right away. But literally, the Matthews that I got, it was gone in like 10 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So as long as you price things correctly, because once you scan the room, you have an idea of what people are selling stuff at. A lot of people sell stuff like super, super overpriced, especially with Toronto stuff. So Raptors and Leaf stuff,
right?
Even Jay stuff, people are like out to lunch
crazy.
sometimes.
Yeah,
it's
for
crazy.
Sure.
But I don't look at it like that. I look at it as like, well, if my goal is to, change it into something else or sell it or get into something bigger or other more liquid stuff, then I'm just going to price it correctly. And the person's going to find that it's the cheapest price, then they're going to take it. Yeah. So in the case with this Matthews, for instance, what I traded the Matthews, that Curry, a guy came up and he goes, hey, I'm interested in that Curry at the sticker price. So I didn't even change it yet. It's already above the comp. So he goes, what do you want? And I looked at the stuff and he's like, do you want this Matthews? And I thought about it and I looked at the comps and it's a true gem. So, okay. So I offer him, like, I shouldn't disclose, but anyway, what I'll say is like, it's a little bit under comps.
Right.
That plus an Ohtani and cash. So now I've kind of offset some of my costs for that card already. So I got some cash back. Yeah. But I also got 2 cards that I could sell. So literally like,
I see.
Half hour later, that Matthews sold, and I profit on that, right?
Yeah, right.
So, but certain cards you would do, like some people would try to bring me cards on Sunday, and I always talk to these people. I go, if you want to sell me something, it's got to be really, really good, or I've got to be able to move it. But if you bring it to me on Sunday, what's the point? Because I can't sell it. Like I don't set up at the. I don't have a store. Like I don't sell stuff like this outside. So. Got to pick and choose what to take. I mean, anything NBA playoffs right now, So if people brought Ant-Man, I'm
Yeah.
buying Ant-Man.
Yeah.
People brought Shy, I'm buying Shay, right? Like
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Right.
Pick and
Makes
choose
sense.
those things.
Yeah.
And then other stuff, it's like if it's for PC for me, then I know I want it. Like that Ruth, for instance. Like that's not something that I think many people would buy at this show anyway. But that's a card I could take to the National and literally trade it for a bunch of inventory. Could fill up a bunch of showcases too if I wanted to.
Yeah. No, you know what? That's good. I appreciate that insight. Yeah. I totally followed there. And you're just talking about the National and in the intro I mentioned that you're going. So do you have a game plan? I think I asked you this last time you were on the pod, but do you have a specific game plan just for the National, because it is the National? Like, when you go to the National, this is what I do, and this is, I can't do this anywhere else because just the sheer size of the show. Is there anything like that?
So I'll probably take some big cards or like liquid cards or stuff that I might not be able to sell in the Toronto show, because some of them are just too big. Like there aren't as many qualified buyers here, I would say, in comparison to the National. So like if I take a, I don't know, $20,000 card and I go to National, people won't blink and they'll have no problem paying for it.
Oh wow, is
that right? Just trading for it.
Yeah.
Whereas here is, you got people hemming and hawing for like $500, and it's a little bit of a different beast.
Sure.
When I go to the National, I bring maybe like 5-10 cards. Like I don't set up, right? I literally just go there. If I have some stuff that I think is liquid that I can trade towards something bigger, I'm going to try to get something bigger. But I also try to acquire stuff for the November Expo. So I'm probably buying football. I'm probably buying basketball.
Yeah.
Obviously, I always look for baseball because that's really the thing that I like the most.
Yeah.
But from a standpoint of having inventory in November, it doesn't make sense for me to even sell a lot of baseball. I'll be buying baseball at that time,
right?
Because I want to buy in the off season so that come the spring show, I'll be able to move it, and there's going to be some sort of gain. That's the whole idea, is like to buy in the off season a little bit less, and then this way you
Tried
can,
and true.
net 25 to like 40%. Depending on how the player does. So that's why the National is good for that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
And just overall, the National, it's more baseball than hockey. Like it's so reverse. You might find like 2 or 3 booths in the National.
Really? Yeah, I heard
hockey.
that.
That's it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I go there just to try to grab stuff.
Nice. No, I've only been to a Canadian show, so like that sounds so foreign to me. You know what I mean? It's like
it is. It's totally different. And this is why I was like, aren't you going to go? And then you said, no, I'm going to go. And then now you're changing to FanFest.
Well, you know what? We'll talk about that in a bit. But I mean, like, just for now, I can say like, I expect it to be similar. No, like just because it's based in the US, Fanatics Fest might or should have more baseball, less hockey.
I don't think so, because I mean, you think so in the US they might have more baseball cards, right? But FanFest is not like a card show. It's like a whole fest with a bunch of different things there. I don't think it's a card show solely based on that. Not like the National.
Of course.
I mean, if you look at like the lineup, I mean, it's impressive the lineup they have. Brady, Durant, like all those guys there that like Fanatics has on their roster. That's incredible. If you want to meet them, if that's what your thing is. But if you're going there to buy cards, I'm not quite sure that it's going to be as big as the National strictly for cards.
No, I don't think so either. And you know what? Let's just get into it since we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Because I think I mentioned the last pod that I can't remember where I read it. It's something that came out of the Topps Industry Conference that just happened this past week, and it might have been Mike Mahan, but he mentioned that Fanatics Fest for the one in New York City this coming August is about 65% sports fandom, kind of like what you're mentioning. It's not, and 35% of, you can expect sports card related things.
Yeah.
So it's definitely less than 50.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be surprised if I go there. I'm like, oh, I thought this was going to be a card show, but it's more for the experience that I'm planning to go as the first one. There'll be some hype for that too. So maybe I'm more going for the experience, but it is a bonus for me that there will be some kind of card show element, even though it's not like the National. So
and this is why I still think I want to go. It's just that the timing of it, I almost feel Fanatics did this on purpose just to mess with them. Like just to like say, hey, we're here now.
Yeah.
We're gonna compete directly with you, with the national, and like we're gonna offer something a little bit different experience wise. This is what they're really good at. I mean, just looking at their marketing and the way they've been doing all these different things, they're trying to change the game.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's amazing. It's but just very different. And I want to go, but I'm very committed to go to the national. Like, I'm helping my buddy set up and stuff.
Right.
I have my hotel booked. I already bought my ticket to the Guardians game, all these different things. I started planning where I'm going to go eat and stuff like that.
That's fair. Yeah.
But I might go. It's just that New York is really expensive. Like, I mean, if you think about it, if you're going solo, unless you make it like a group trip where you can chop up like the hotel rooms and stuff like that, transportation, then it's easier. But as a solo traveler, it's really expensive.
Okay. Well, you know what, DC, let's split a hotel room in New York. Just come. Who
else is coming? I'm going to do the content with you.
Yeah, okay. Well, Hyung, I'm pretty sure Hyung's in, so we could talk off air. But let's make it work because I'm really excited to go to Fanatics Fest in New York.
I think there's be a lot of good stuff for you to video and make for content for sure.
I think so too. Yeah. And that's another big reason why I want to go. And I'm sure you heard like they're having one in Pittsburgh now that came out of the Tops Industry Conference.
Are they doing the one in Orlando still, or was that misinformed?
And they are doing one in Orlando November 1 to 3rd. And that apparently is going to be more sports card related. Like it's a bigger presence there. So
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. That's the reason why people are trying to get into the first show so that they can obviously be invited to the other shows. It's like it's almost like a priority. If you do this, then we're going to give you this kind of thing.
Right.
So
interesting.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, like speaking of which, our mutual card hobby friend, Carlos, aka Sluggers55, he's setting up at the Fanatics Fest in New York City. Yeah. And he mentioned he's really excited about Orlando. He's the one that kind of gave us a little bit of a early heads up that the Fanatics is thinking that. Yeah. I was going to ask you, and you kind of already answered it because I asked him the question where, how do you decide what cards to bring? Because he travels a lot to the different shows. So I guess when you go to the National, or if you go to Fanatics Fest, like you already have in mind, or do you already have in mind that, I'm going to bring these cards because I know I can't, offload these at the Sport Card Expo, or is it whatever?
It's kind of whatever because it's the timing, right? If I'm trying to get inventory for the November show, that November Expo show,
right? I'm
going to be targeting stuff that is in season at the time. So that'd be basketball and football.
Gotcha.
Some hockey, like honestly, I still grab hockey stuff, just because it does well here. And then when I can get like a low numbered stuff or something that's rare, people will be surprised that I have it at the booth. But the fact that I have it at the booth, people come talk about it. Like people were coming just to talk. It's like my friend told me there's a Ruth here, or I had that Tiger Woods SP Authentic, my buddy's Tiger Woods SP Authentic rookie in the case, and that Max Verstappen gold, right? Yeah. So people were just saying, "Oh, it's here," and they came just to look at the card, right? So once I get them there, then I can start speaking to them about other stuff, and then I can find out what it is they want, and maybe we can make a match.
Makes sense.
It's just about creating the opportunity, and then what do you do with the opportunity?
Yeah. I'm curious. Like you mentioned, when you go to the shows in the U.S., you're looking for hockey. Like, do you see a big price differential? Like, it's hard to find hockey card deals in Canada, obviously, or in the Sport Card Expo. But do you see that kind of arbitrage? Or is it still hard to find deals even in the National?
I think it's sort of like the reverse of here. Like, because I deal mostly with baseball.
Yeah.
I have like a pretty good following. So people will come, but they're forced to kind of pay what I want because they can't find it anywhere else. So in the National, if someone was looking for hockey,
right,
I think that stuff, I would say it might be priced a little bit higher. But at the end of the day, like every vendor has the choice to put it at comps, put it under comps. Like how badly do they want to get rid of it? Okay. But the fact of the matter is when you see, it's like that Sesame Street thing, some of these things belong together. Some of these things kind of the same.
Yeah.
all of a sudden, when you see a hockey booth in everything else is baseball, you're gonna stop and look, right? So
true.
sometimes I look at the price and then I'm like, oh, I actually brought a couple big hockey cards to the National last year, and I showed it to the hockey guys, and they said, wow, this is a card I really want, but I can only trade you hockey. So then at that point, it doesn't make sense for me. But what I would say is those guys that have hockey, like really specialize in hockey. There's a couple vendors I know there that they're the hockey guys, sort of like I'm one of the baseball guys here.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes total sense to me as well. So, all right. Appreciate all the insight, obviously, that you bring every time you come to the show.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Baker's, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Baker's worth it every time. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Before we're going to do something different because, off air, we're talking about, I wanted you part of this pick one segment. So we're going to do that with you since I'm the only host for today's episode. But before we do that, you did mention that you're also going to Montreal, which is just 5 hours from here in Toronto where we live. And what are your plans there? Because it is a Sport Card Expo show, but in Montreal, right?
Yeah.
Is this the first time you're going to the one in Montreal or?
No, I actually set up at the show.
Oh, no way.
1 year with Dolly's. I think at that point it was still called Anti-Expo.
Yeah.
So I had set up there once, maybe twice even. But either way, we did it. But I mean, I'm not setting up here. I'm just going there. I'm actually going with Carlos. We're just gonna drive down there, play some poker at Poker Playground, and then take a day and go to the show. I'm actually probably just going to go and trade my Series 2 hockey hobby case, because a lot of the French guys are still looking for that stuff.
Okay, wow.
So I might just go there and trade it, see what kind of baseball is possibly there. If there's other stuff that's off season, I might consider trading towards that just for more inventory.
Yep.
But it'd be nice just to see, because I actually like going to the show not as a vendor too. It's totally different. It's more you're shopping now, as opposed to, I don't know, how do you say, like almost like a pawn shop where people bring stuff to you. Right. It's a little different.
Yeah, no, understood. How big is the Montreal show? Like, if you can, obviously it's not as big as Toronto, but like,
yeah, it's not as big. The last time I was there, it felt like bigger than a school gymnasium, but definitely not.
Oh, small.
Yeah, it was small. Now, I don't know what it is now, and maybe it's a little different since the Sports Card Expo took it over.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's something I can share with you after we go. I'll let you know.
Sure.
But I don't think it's anywhere close to Toronto size.
Yeah, okay. Just curious. Yeah. And, I think the one in Edmonton. So, Sports Card Expo is like, it's good to see that they're expanding and, growing their presence. So that's good to see. Yeah. And good for them. All right. Appreciate all that insight again. And let's just go on to our next segment. It's a weekly segment. You guys all know it. It's called Pick One. All right. So this is going to be different because, usually with my regular co-host, Hyung and John, they'll come up with a couple of cards. I'll come up with a couple of cards, and then, I know you're a loyal listener, Darrell, so you know how it goes. We debate which one we would rather invest in. But for you, I did most of the legwork, and you talked about the 1933 Babe Ruth Goudey, right? And I just comped it out, just recent sales. It was a few months ago, so it might have changed, but I'm just taking the rough $15,000 USD comp that I seen, so 20K Canadian. So 15,000. I'm gonna pretend I'm coming up to your booth, and this is a card I have, relatively similar in value. You tell me if you're making the trade or not. Okay? All right. So, all right, you got the Babe Ruth. I want it. I'm coming up to you. First card, the 1984-85 star Michael Jordan rookie card, BGS 7. Are you making that trade with me? 1 for 1. And this is all 1 for 1. Yeah.
What are the subgrades?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because if I can cross it over to a PSA, I might consider.
Well, I mean, like, what does the upgrades have to be for that? Yeah, it's got to, if it's BGS 7.
Yeah, but where is the centering good? If the centering is good,
is that what you look for in subgrades? The centering first for those kind of cards?
Usually, because it like eye appeal for these kind of cards.
Yeah,
is the biggest thing. I could have I've seen a lot of Jordan rookies where the centering is just terrible, right? But then I've seen lower grade ones where the centering is really, really nice. Maybe the corners are not as sharp,
right?
But I would rather have the centering.
Okay, well, the centering is 6'5" and it's pretty off-centered.
Oh yeah, I'm not making that trade.
Okay,
that's a pretty quick one. Unless you said it comps out to be the same price.
Yeah, about 15.5 it sold for recently.
Okay. So if you give me the card in 5,000, I'll do the deal.
Oh, okay. All right. That's good insight. Okay. All right. Next card. 2011 Topps Update Mike Trout. You know, BGS 10 Black.
Black label.
Yes.
Okay.
Comped out to 15.1. Sold April 30th. So very recent.
No.
You're not doing it.
That's a definite no.
Why?
The thing is with modern card versus a vintage card is that I feel that it's easier for me to acquire this modern card, even though it's a black label.
Yeah.
I think it's easier for me to get that than to get a nice shaped 1933 card. Like anything before 1960, like is just very difficult to find.
Sure.
Trout being injured too. Injuring machine is not. I know. I just saw that.
Don't remind me. Don't remind me.
I think that's the difficult part, really, with Trout. I mean, I think he's a great player, but the thing is, with the injuries and stuff, it makes it very difficult for me to put so much value into a card. That's another thing I think about too when I trade for cards is what's the longevity of this player, whether or not if they're gonna get injured all the time. Like I'm not buying Luis Robert.
Yeah. Right.
For instance, I don't mean to, rub salt in the wound.
No, I got rid of my Luis Robert, so you can go ahead.
But I'm just saying, like stuff like that, it becomes more difficult. Like if I have someone that's really established already, I would rather have that card. But it goes back to still the vintage. Is that when have I ever seen this card? I haven't seen this. I've seen more than one black label Mike Trout Topps Update. Okay. Maybe if it was a different card. A different Trout card, but even so, I don't think I can make that trade.
All right, it's an iconic card, but whatever. All right, okay, another modern card. Maybe I don't know if this will sway you. Ellie De La Cruz, hot, right? 2024 Topps Silver Pack Chrome Superfractor Rookie Autograph 1 of 1. Come on, Superfractor.
What did that sell at?
15.3.
And then how long ago was the product released when that sold?
Oh, that's a good question. Top Silver Pack Chrome. I don't even know. Like,
oh, sorry, Silver Pack.
Yes.
No, not making that deal either.
Okay, why?
The reason is because the Silver Pack it's almost like an insert card. Like to me, it's not like the legitimate Superfractor. If it was a Superfractor from Topps Chrome or I guess it would be Topps Chrome from the actual set, not like the insert packs. Usually those insert pack ones don't. Oh, that looks nice though.
You just put it up on screen. It is a sticker.
It looks nice, but I'm just saying like these insert pack ones, they don't sell as well. Like I think about the Ohtani, the red Ohtani I had was from a silver pack.
Okay, yeah, right.
That's a prime example as to things that are not from the actual base set, even if they're supers, they won't sell as well.
Okay.
And the reason why I asked you what the date was is because generally speaking, when a product just comes out, people buy into the hype right away and overpay for things.
That's true. So,
okay. Again,
makes sense.
I mean, Ellie De La Cruz, like very electric player, very, very exciting. Is he Babe Ruth? He is definitely not.
Right. Okay. That's fair enough. All right. Couple more. Okay. Vintage for vintage. Here we go. Okay. 1952 Topps Willie Mays SGC 5.
Ooh.
Vintage for vintage.
And again, around 15K?
Yeah, 14.4.
SGC 5. Do you know what a PSA 4 sells for?
I could look it up while you ponder this question, but
This one is a little bit different for me because the Ruth I have is not a rookie, right? So
right.
I would consider that Maze, but I don't like the SGC holder.
You're not a
if
fan,
I
eh?
thought it would be really good and it could be at least a PSA 4, just depending on what the PSA 4 sells for.
PSA 4 last sold for 6,000.
Oh, yeah. That's a tougher call because
PSA 5 sold for 14.4, so it's comparable to SGC 5.
how does the SGC and PSA sell for the same?
Good question.
And this has to do with eye appeal now. Like, do you have the card there? I can see it.
The SGC 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can show you. Yeah, but centering counts, right? Like that's
for
thing.
Sure it does.
For
vintage.
vintage.
Sure it does.
Yeah.
Because I think any vintage thing, I'm not really looking to flip. Like my initial thing is always to keep it, but I also want to have the ability to flip it if I needed to.
How's that?
The centering isn't that bad.
Yeah.
Centering looks pretty good.
It's about 60-40.
That's a nice looking card. I mean, I would definitely think about that one.
Okay.
But to seal the deal, I would ask for 2,000 on top of that card.
All right. Okay. Okay, I almost got you there. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Last one. Different sport. So LeBron James. You had this card, I think. Topps Chrome, Refractor, BGS 95 True Gem.
No, I think I'll keep the I'll keep the Ruth.
Really? True Gem?
Yeah.
16K?
Yeah, I'm still not. I mean, I'd rather have a Jordan than a LeBron.
Oh, you're a Jordan guy, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all right. I'll take this to another booth. All right, well, that's the Darrell Chan version of Pick One. So I hope you enjoyed that. But no, it was fun because you did provide even more insight on your thinking process. So I think that's always.
Do you want to see some of these cards I got?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's finish off with the show and tell. I love that.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll have to describe it for the podcast listeners, but
all right. Let me go in a certain order here.
Okay.
So first we'll start off with a hockey card.
Ooh.
So it's a Dustin Wolf Red Outburst color
looks
match.
Nice. Yeah.
So that card is going to grading.
How'd you acquire that? You just ripped it?
No, I traded. I traded a Tyrese Halliburton optic purple auto and some cash.
Okay.
So I traded for that and a pink cracked ice Wemby, which I flipped like right after the guy left.
All right. Okay.
So offset it into this card, which is good.
Paul Skeens, yeah.
Paul Skeens, solid orange Bowman first.
So what are your thoughts on? So you're okay with pitchers, eh? We always bash pitchers on this pod. You know that.
I don't love pitchers, but I think the opportunity to get out of this card and B plus is very big.
Yeah, Skeens is
guy
killing
is
it.
Smashing down there.
0.3 something ERA, yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's orange. That's
it's orange.
Nice.
Yeah. So I haven't seen. I think there was only one solid orange that has sold on eBay.
Yeah. Like
a couple months ago, but out of just to think about it, the last solid gold raw. So for $1,500 US.
Okay. Yeah.
So this has got to be at least $3,000 US, at least
raw.
And if it grades, raw. If it grades out, it'll be even more. So my plan is to get it graded. I'm gonna do the rush service, so I'll have it back in 5 days, and then try to time it to trade it or to sell it before he gets called up.
Right.
That'll be the max time.
That's smart, man. Yeah. I'm always nervous holding pitchers too long.
Me too. I mean, I don't want to. I mean, if you look historically, who are the big pitchers that like sell well? It's like
Kershaw.
Kershaw,
Yeah.
Verlander, maybe Scherzer, maybe.
Yeah.
Right, but other than that, who else?
Vintage guys. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, like Koufax.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. So this is what I'm saying.
The numbers game.
Yeah, good. But it's a good, nice card. Oh, that's classic. Albert Pujols.
SP authentic. Numbered. 9.5. I'm gonna see if I can crack that and make it into a PSA 10.
Okay.
Pujols SPX auto rookie.
Is that auto IP or is that?
No, that's the actual auto.
No way.
Yeah.
I love those. Yeah, I love those kind of cards where it's like so random but rare.
Well, they're really good cards. Even if I don't sell it until he makes the haul, I can hold it till he makes the haul and be fine.
Right.
Those were kind of the purchases I was buying because literally after the first day, I was looking for inventory.
Yeah.
And one of my buddies who doesn't really collect baseball, he just acquires some baseballs and goes, "Hey, DC, I know you want these." And I got these 3 Pujolses and an Aaron Judge Bowman Chrome PSA 9, which I traded for card and cash.
Yeah.
Another Pujols.
Nice.
So now we get into that Ohtani collection.
Yep. Shohei.
So numbered rookies, finest.
Are you doing anything with that card? There's no subgrades, so are you?
Yeah, I'm cracking it out. These are out of my crack pile.
Oh, okay. Another Shohei, yeah.
Bowman's best blue.
Mm-hmm. Another Shohei.
Green Topps Chrome rookie.
Is that number 99?
Out of 99.
Yep.
This is the one I was talking about. Look how dirty that patch is.
It looks amazing.
I had this one too, which is going tomorrow. World Baseball Classic PSA 10.
Yeah, classic.
I'm trading it for PSA 10 2018 new era Shohei Ohtani rookie out of Topps. Have you heard of this card?
I don't think so.
So it was a baseball card that was only released in certain ballparks.
Yeah.
1 year. The pop of PSA 10 is like 140 or something.
Yeah.
So I'm getting that and cash for this card.
For that WBC card?
Yeah.
Before you go, what is that another Shohei that you're going to show me?
Yeah, I have another Shohei.
Well, what you got it like, we stay on the pod like you're buying high on Shohei now. Did you get these before or like did you trade?
I thought these are the show. I traded.
Oh, no way. Okay.
So that's the one I was talking about with the Surface.
Right.
But even if I get a PSA 9, it's worth it.
Yeah.
I think that's all the Shohei stuff in the crack pile.
So you're still actively trading for Shohei now, eh? Even though the price is...
I think it's easier because he's going to make like playoffs, maybe even win the World Series.
Ugh, hope not. After what he did to the Jays, come on.
Hey man, you know how many Dodgers jerseys were in the stands those days?
When they came to Toronto? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's the face of baseball right now.
Yeah. People are, and they're not even from LA, right? They're like Toronto Shohei fans.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? Yeah.
It's Asian people that probably don't even watch baseball. I remember because I've been a Raptors season holder for a long time.
Yeah.
And when Jeremy Lin came before he was on the Raptors,
right?
He came. Half the stadium was Taiwanese and cheering for the guy on the other team.
When he was on the Knicks?
Yeah.
Or the Lakers?
The Knicks. It could have been again with the Knicks, or it could have been with
Lakers.
The Lakers. It could have been, I forgot who it was, but it was crazy.
Right.
So I don't know if you can see this. It's a T-Mac game used 101. It's a 101.
There you go.
I got a Blue Wave Bichette. I'm just gonna crack that out.
Yeah. What was it graded? PSA 9?
Not a very good grade. I'm gonna change that for sure. You saw this when you were here, that Bobby Witt.
Yeah, I love Bobby Witt.
So this is gone.
Oh, you got rid of it already?
Yeah.
Damn, that's quick.
I thought about because I could crack it and sub it.
Yeah.
But there's this whole thought is like, you don't know what's gonna happen between the time, you send it out and you get it back.
Yep, that's true.
this is not my PC. I'll just take the win. I'll take a small win right now and just roll into something bigger. I think that's what's good is that some people, when you hold on to stuff too long, it's not good. You get bit.
I know that for a fact. But
here's that Jordan.
Oh yeah.
So like I've never actually seen this card, but the photo is like really good.
So that's, what is that? 84, another 84 star? 86 star. Right.
Kobe.
Okay.
Kobe Materials on card auto.
Yeah.
Ronaldo 101.
What?
Yeah, I traded for this.
Okay.
I traded the Ant-Man gold cracked ice gold flux that I got. I acquired it at the show last year. I graded it. It came out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
But it's out of flux, right? So it's really hit or miss. It's a really, really low numbered card, but out of a not so good set.
Right.
So obviously someone want to take that. I'm like, take it. Like I'm into it for less. I'd rather roll into like Ronaldo 101 is going to do well wherever.
Yeah. How many of the cards that you pick up? Oh, there's the Babe Ruth, of course. Great way to end the show and tell. Last question before we sign off. How many of those cards do you buy raw and grade? You know what I mean? Like from the shows. What percentage would you say? Or does that change drastically?
It changes a lot because sometimes, like, I'll be honest with you, I can't see anything if a card is good or not. I mean, I can see if there's a crease in it. I can see centering really well.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like surface and like edges and stuff, I don't do that. All the grading stuff, I give it to my friend to go look at. So anything that I acquire raw, I price it like at the raw price, or like the way I offer it is based on the raw price. So if someone wants to sell me something, it's not that I'll say no. I think I can sell it. Just like, a couple years ago with Cito, he bought that. I got that SPJ rod with Ichiro. I got it raw.
Yeah.
And he says, how come this is not graded? I go, because I just got it. If you want it, you can have it. He graded it as a PSA 10.
Yeah, nice.
So a lot of these cards, like what I'll do is when I get them raw, I'll put them out there at a certain price. If they don't sell, like where I don't make a little bit of a gain, then I'll just grade it myself.
Oh, I see. Yeah. That's smart.
So percentage-wise, I would say generally speaking, I don't like raw cards unless they're big numbered cards or something like that. Or, sometimes you get a read like on eBay. Sometimes we had this conversation before. It's like, why does guy have all graded cards and then this card is not graded? Then I have to question what's going on here, right? Exactly. Certain people, when I get them from, you can tell legitimately. I mean, I got it from an older gentleman. He's like, I cracked open a couple boxes and I hit these. Right. I'm like, okay, sure. So I'll take it. Yeah. I'll take the shot that they grade out. But if not, the price that I paid is still, I'll be able to get out of it at the raw price.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. Nice. Good advice again. Darrell, as always fun chatting with you, connecting, talking about sports cards, and we live in the same city, so we got to see each other soon and come to FanFest. All right.
Okay, I'll try to make it out there. We're gonna work it out. For sure. Yes,
let's do it. So thanks again to all our listeners. We appreciate you guys, and we'll have a brand new show for you guys next week. Talk to you then. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.